So, this is the Noopept video. Actually, it's part one. I've had it less than a week, and I don't even... I want to take it for a longer period of time before I give my experience with it and all that. So, that'll be in another video, but this video is going to cover the more technical stuff, I guess, the more technical stuff. So, Noopept was developed as a lot of you probably know this. You've done any research on Noopept, but Noopept was developed as a thing that could sort of do what piracetam did, but be more potent. I guess they were looking for an analog or something like that, and they found something that seemed to do what piracetam did, and it required a much less dosage. And I think this is the reason that, some like a historical reason that Noopept is grouped with the racetams, even though chemically it's not technically a racetam. And a lot of people, I think, assume that the mechanism of action is the same as the racetams. Now, to begin with, the mechanism of action of the racetams is not real well understood, and neither is Noopept. So, some assumptions that seem kind of like safe assumptions are being made, but I don't know. I'm gonna hesitate to go into too much detail with too much confidence about what's actually going on pharmacologically with Noopept, because to make a long story short, it's not really well understood. Which isn't to say that studies haven't observed some of the biomarkers, some of the molecular changes that take place with Noopept. So, for example, Noopept seems to reduce. It seems to reduce the production of these biomarkers of psychological stress. These kinases of sorts. Basically, they're, like I said, the significance is they're biomarkers of stress. And it also increases the production, which is something that we're seeing in a lot of nootropic-y things, in NGF and BDNF. Again, these are nerve growth factors, and you get increased hippocampal volume, and it's a pattern. It's a phenomenon that you're finding more and more with a lot of things that have antidepressant activity. And it's interesting because, from the studies that I've seen, like, this sounds a lot like an antidepressant. And, so, I don't know. I'll tell you more about my experience with that, and maybe in the, experience video. But, in the meantime, suffice it to say, looking at the research, you might think that a lot of people kind of group. They assume that it has some sort of activity on acetylcholine systems or the AMPA class of glutamate receptors. And I struggled to find research that really backed that up, like any studies that made mention of this. So, I mean, I was looking on PubMed, and I'd be interested. Well, I don't know. Maybe I didn't look so much for acetylcholine. Certainly not AMPA. I didn't find anything that referred to Noopept as a substance that worked on this. So, like, nobody was even like looking at it. Like, nobody was even questioning it, because it's something that people are assuming. So I don't know. I don't know if it really does anything with those receptors or not. But whatever. Yeah, I think that there is, even if it just increases hippocampal volume alone, that's cool. Oh, but that isn't the only thing that it does. Besides the psychological stress markers that it helps with this general syndrome, I guess you could call it, at least at a molecular level. It's like a molecular level. It's a syndrome that you see across various types of brain damage, be it like trauma or ischemia or like chemical insults to the brain, yada yada yada. And Noopept helps reduce it like across the board. Like it basically helps protect your brain. That's the way I would sum it up. It's a neuroprotectant. It's a very non-toxic neuroprotectant, and that's really going back to what a nootropic should be. Some people think that nootropic is a loosely defined term. I think it can be used for things that are just cognitive enhancers. But not every cognitive enhancer is even healthy. It's like taking steroids could be healthy in the short term, but it's not necessarily. It could be it give you big muscles and stuff in the short term, but it's not necessarily healthy. Same can be said of certain cognitive enhancers. They can enhance you cognitively, but they're not necessarily like healthy in the long run. Nootropics are supposed to be non-toxic. They're supposed to be things that you can take sustainably, and it's more about health. And I think Noopept really falls into that. It's something that's not just healthy, non-toxic. It actually preserves brain function. Like we're talking, like it can even help with aging, perhaps. So I'm excited about Noopept because I think anti-aging is really one of the things that I would really care about most when it comes to like nootropics and that sort of thing. Because there's a lot of like techniques you can do to like improve creativity. There's like like non-pharmaceutical things that you can do and practice to help with creativity or memory. But aging is something that we don't have as many options for. Like we know about exercise, we know about eating right and all that good stuff, but I'm excited if we have something that might actually even help with aging. So I don't know again about neurotransmitters involved or anything, but Noopept is a very good thing. At least at this point, it's looking like for neuroprotection. Some people criticize the research because they say it's all Russian. I don't know if there's a problem with Russian research or not. I know when it comes to like herbs, like people say that Chinese Chinese research is not to be trusted because they're heavily biased for it and they want to make it look good. I don't know if there's any issue like that with Russia. Some people kind of say, "Oh, it's Russian. You can't really trust that research. And it's never been replicated here in the West." Well, first, I don't know if it's been attempted. If anybody's over here has attempted to replicate Noopept research. A lot of the nootropic. The thing is, the West isn't that interested in nootropics. The establishment isn't. So I can't really say, just because it had, nobody is looking at that, so I doubt anybody has tried. But, I trust Russian research. they're, I don't have a strong reason to believe that they're, but I don't know, I'm not an expert, it could be flawed, so I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and run with it, and I like it. I'm going to tell it so far, but I'm going to tell you about my experience with it in the next video. So that so there is it's a dipeptide. I told you what it is. If I told you it's not a racetam, I should tell you what it actually is. It's a dipeptide, 2 amino acids, proline and glycine. It's metabolized into cycloproglycine, and this actually is psychoactive. I shouldn't say psychoactive. It basically has nootropic activity of its own, and some people think maybe that's a mechanism of action. Some people think that really wouldn't explain the full activity, so maybe it goes through maybe it's like C-Max, where it kind of goes through phases where it has when it's Noopept, it does one thing and then it gets metabolized into a different one, a different nootropic. So I don't know. But it's interesting. I'm sorry I made a video where I really couldn't tell you a whole lot about the mechanism of action, even though this is like the technical video. But, you know, if science doesn't know, then maybe it's my obligation to tell you if I'm trying to make informative videos that science doesn't know, because sometimes forums will make you think that we know a lot more than we do. People speculate about a lot of things, and I don't know. If you hear people loosely refer to Noopept as acting on acetylcholine systems or on AMPA receptors, I don't know. Just take it with a grain of salt. But maybe I've given you some ideas. Maybe I've given you some things to look at. If you're interested, look at like cycloproglycine. Look at BDNF and NGF to see what those do in more detail. Because, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to tell you like what I think it does in a whole lot of detail. Maybe if I make like a separate video, but like I'm trying to make the video right now where I tell you like what mainstream science says about these things. To the extent that nutrients are even like mainstream science. Not that it's like quackery, but I'm just saying it's like, I say that to mean like the mainstream isn't really that interested in it. It's not to say that nootropic research isn't legit. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I think, I'm probably going to give it maybe another week or so at least. And then I'll have the video about where I talk about like how I feel on it and my subjective experience, and maybe also some more pragmatic details about how I use it, how I would fit it into my stack or stacks or whatever, that sort of thing. So a little more experimentation and I'll be right back to you. Thanks for watching.